All right, I want to do a reaction video here. I want to watch a song that was really formative to me as a young guitar player. I never saw the footage till 5-6 years ago, but someone gave me Cream of Clapton when I was a teenager. And although I didn't connect with it on some massive level, this particular song fascinated me. I remember picking out some of the guitar licks. I remember thinking, what is going on here? I had heard Hendrix, so I had heard a trio. I had heard a lot of rock music. I was listening to things like Rage Against the Machine, a trio of sorts musically, and something about this song blew my mind. In hindsight, I know what it was. It was the fact that it sounded like every band member was soloing at the same time, but it was perfect. No one was on top of each other. Everything fit and it sounded incredible. And then I also cued in early on the fact that it was live. I could tell from the recording. So I want to play this video here. The video I'm about to play, it has about 1 million views or so on YouTube, and it's a fascinating look at a point in history where the band at the time was the greatest, largest rock band in existence. And they were kind of burning to the ground internally. 2 of the members hated each other, and Clapton was incredibly burnt out. For a little more context, this is Eric Clapton coming out of the Blues Breakers stuff, joining this super group, and this is before we hear of the great Eric Clapton by himself. This is really his forte into the complete reinvention of blues by merging it with this British rock sound. This is late 60s. This is loud guitar. Cream was known for volume. If you go see a band today like Dinosaur Jr., those bands are loud. Cream started that on a level that was never heard of before. You would go to the shows and your ears would bleed. We see this happening because of the Marshall amplifiers you'll see in play. So the gear in this episode, if you're paying attention, it's just Clapton on a 335, and it's a Marshall amp. The amp is dimed, everything is on 10. And that's not an exaggeration. He didn't use distortion pedals, so every bit of the distortion you're about to hear is from the speakers breaking up. That's a massive part of it. But the amp is dimed out, the volume, the treble, the bass, the mids, and he's on the normal input jack. So this is an incredibly massive sound, and he's using his guitar volume to attenuate how clean or dirty that gets. Let's listen to it, and then I'll pause as we go through and talk about some more of the context. But this performance is insane. You're never gonna see anything like this again. This is Ginger Baker, Jack Bruce, and Eric Clapton. Bruce's bass playing is a whole other subject. It should be studied and taken way more seriously than it is in this modern age because it's incredible. And Ginger's drumming is second to none. Here we go. So immediately, this has that 12-bar blues shuffle, that whole thing that you learn when you first get started, or at least I know I did. I had a friend, he knew how to play Johnny Be Good, and I wanted to know how to do it so badly. It actually was harder than it looked, and it was more complicated. That's my dog. It was harder than it looked, and it was more complicated to land that timing for me than I ever thought, but it's something you hear 1,000,000 times in 1,000,000 different ways. This is a very fast-paced version of this. Hey, settle down, settle down. This is the fully electrified version of this. And just so you know, this is a cover song. That's another thing that's super fascinating here. Many of you have seen me cover some content that has to do with the Delta, Mississippi history and the blues that came from that. Well, this is Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson records 29 songs in 1936. He does this in a hotel room in Texas, and these songs are pressed. There's a couple of them that are like locally jukebox played, but they're not big. He doesn't get really famous, and nobody even really remembers he exists until these British blues players like Clapton, Jeff Beck, the Rolling Stones. All these people are listening to this old American folk music, which we now call the blues, and they're reinventing it. And this is the explosion of the British blues genre that we're listening to here. This is also Hendrix. This is a brand new thing that no one had ever seen, and it just explodes from 65 to 69. You see it in Dylan with Highway 61 Revisited. That's a reference back to the Mississippi Delta Highway 61. You just hear it and start seeing it in all of these artists. But he takes this song, speeds it up, electrifies it. You have this busy bass playing going on, these busy drum licks going on, and it's truly electrifying.
Down to the crossroads, back to the headline. Nobody sleeping on it, nobody pass my when I'm going down to Rosedale, take my ride by my side. Going down to Rosedale, take my ride by my side.
It's interesting because the Going Down to Rosedale is not in the original Robert Johnson song. If you listen to King of the Delta Blues and pull up the original Robert Johnson recordings, which you should, that's a different song. Clapton pulls it in, and there's all these great stories of people hearing that line and then trying to find Rosedale and go find that spot. But it's actually two different songs, and that's a little fun tidbit of musicology history that most people miss. Clapton was trying to fit one more Robert Johnson reference or lineage thing into this song because he was so obsessed with him.
You still powerhouse, baby, on the riverside.
I don't care who you are. I don't care if you hate the blues. I don't even care if you hate guitar. There's something in these breaks. This is all improvisation. There's not a single repeated line in Clapton's playing. This is the peak of a guitarist who is obsessed with this type of music. He's obsessed with this feeling of the blues. He is living it. He is immersed in it. And he's honestly on fire. In these solos, these are one-take live solos. There was actually a big trend that was going around for a long time that said these were overdubbed, and when you heard the live recording, it wasn't really live. Well, these videos disprove that. People have since disproved it. This is an amazing band on a stage being tracked, and you're hearing it as though you were sitting there. And as a guitarist who loves improvising, this is stunning. Like his phrasing, his ability to play to what the bass is doing and the drums, they're incredible. This is such a moment in time that's important to not forget. This is the core and the beginning of a loud rock trio genre. Pick out your favorite trio. Pick out your favorite rock band that plays riffs, the busy ones, the ones that glue together. This is it. This is the origin. Hendrix was never quite this tight. Hendrix does all kinds of amazing things, this video isn't about Hendrix, but this is so interesting and so special. Just needs to be noted that his playing right here is unbelievable. In total, there are 60 measures of improvised guitar solo. And there's a really great Clapton quote. He says, "These solos were inferior." He felt like the band drifted and got loose in one section, and he didn't like how this felt. That's crazy. Listen to that tone. There's no fuzz pedal involved. There's no distortion box. At a max during this era, Clapton had a wah on the floor. This is just loudness. This is just the amp being pulverized and the speakers being pulverized as well. Do not let go of how good this tone sounds. The bass, it's incredible. Just listen to that bass. Listen to everything. Somehow listen to all three players at the same time. It's hard to do, but it's fun to do, and it's easy to do. All three things are true. What a time. In the comments, if you were around during this era, it'd be really cool to hear from you. If you saw this live, that'd be even crazier. That'd be amazing. We'll put a link in the description to the original video. Go watch it. It's 10 million views right now. It's been up for 10 years. So thank you, Antonio, for doing a great job on this. So these moments in guitar are more and more getting forgotten simply because of the span of years. It's 2026, this is 1968. And if we go back further to 1936, the origin of this, a single artist, Robert Johnson, facing the corner in a hotel room because he was too shy or embarrassed or too protective of his playing, depends on the theory you believe. This is a crazy chain of events. And I like to think about 1936 hotel room, 1968 San Francisco, and right now 10 million views on YouTube. I just can't get over how amazing that chain of events is. And I think an important lesson, and I say this all the time, is that we should go make things. We should go play the music that's in us to play. Robert Johnson never saw now. He never saw me sitting here. He never saw the internet. He never saw YouTube. He never saw Clapton. He never imagined anything like that. He never saw much electricity in his life. And here we are talking about him all these years later and all the influence and impact that he had. Robert Johnson was not famous in his lifetime. And some of the greatest things ever made carry that truth. If you create things to be famous, you might get lucky and be famous, But it seems like historically, with all inventions and all creativity, if you create things out of the pureness of what's in you to make and the excitement of making it, that impacts the world a lot more. So this Crossroads Robert Johnson thing here, it's a really cool lineage and a really cool timeline. There is another episode that I put up about rock history and the Delta Blues, so check that out. That link's in the description. I also have a Substack. If you like topics like this, you can go over there and read some stuff that I've been writing. In the comments below, let me know what you think about this song. Let me know what you think about Cream, this whole era, and put in there, what do you think the impact of music would be if this had not happened? If Cream had never existed, and if Clapton and those two guys had never gotten together. Let's do the Butterfly Effect Twilight Zone episode where Cream is removed from the picture. You tell me in the comments what the world looks like. Have a wonderful day. Hit like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get notifications of future episodes. Bye-bye.